When we think about Islamic education and our experience growing up in the West, we never realized how much was missing from our curriculum beyond the typical Friday khutbah. What opened our eyes was traveling to Istanbul. We discovered there was so much more to the Islamic civilization than we had ever been taught. We didn't grasp the magnitude of the golden age of Islam.
Being there, we realized that back then, the height of education and knowledge in the world was led by Muslims. Modern medicine, for example, was shaped by scholars like Ibn Sina. The Muslim world back then was at the forefront of learning because they didn't just study for degrees. They studied out of a love for knowledge, with adab at the core. They followed their teacher's footsteps and modeled his character to understand his knowledge.
Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, what was a prophet's, peace be upon him's, life like before revelation? We remember the moment of Iqra, but for 40 years before that night, Allah was shaping him. He was a man before he was a prophet, and his life was never easy. A craftsman spends years as an apprentice before becoming a master. The Prophet, peace be upon him, his life was apprenticeship itself. Through struggle, mercy grew. Through work, humility was built. Through trust, his reputation was sealed. So when the Quran finally came to him, people already knew his character. This was a man who consistently exemplified adab. They even called him Al-Amin. Maybe that's the part we should highlight. The key to knowledge. Revelation came to a man who already mastered adab.
Growing up in the West, were we taught to love our deen through character first? To live adab? Or did we only memorize facts and rules? Did our schools and homes teach us adab as the foundation, the way the Prophet lived it? Or did we separate manners from learning? And if adab was missing, how do we bring it back into the center of our children's education today? Schools measure success by grades and test scores. We push for diplomas and careers. If adab is missing, knowledge becomes empty. But when knowledge is guided by adab, it unites and uplifts. Are we just preparing students to pass exams and collect letters after their names? Or are we preparing them to live with purpose?
When we ask, how do we actually teach adab? The answer isn't hidden in some complicated curriculum. It's right in front of us in Salah. Prayer itself is the school of adab. 5 times a day, Allah trains us in respect, humility, and discipline. Think about it. Before a single word is recited, we line up shoulder to shoulder. There's no VIP row for the wealthy, no corner for the poor, everyone equal, everyone facing the Qibla. That moment, standing together, is a living lesson in unity, respect, and order, the ultimate lesson of adab.
At home, this is where parents can bring Salah to life. Download an Adhan app. Buy an Adhan clock. Set the prayer room like we set the table for dinner. As we choose the best ingredients for a meal, think about the ingredients needed for the best Salah in your home. Who lays out the mats? Who calls the Adhan? Who leads the dua? And sometimes, let the children take the lead. Salah isn't meant to be rushed. It's meant to be experienced. The family that organizes their day around prayer is modeling adab without even speaking.
In school, it's the same. When a teacher pauses class for prayer, it shows that discipline and respect come before finishing a math page. We can't assume students already know how to pray. When is the last time we actually reviewed their salah? You do not need to be an imam to check wudu or to walk through the steps. If you don't know, assume they don't know either, and learn together. As teachers, we are role models. Just as we prepare students what to do in case of a fire, we should be running Salah drills to prepare students to save them from the fire of the Akhirah. We should check their baseline, see the gaps, and plan to close them. Students, like athletes, need practice. Just like training wheels help a child learn to ride a bike, guided practice helps them build Salah into their lives.
Here's the reality we face. Too often, we rush through it. We say the words without presence. We enter the masjid distracted. We treat prayer like a checkbox. If we just slowed down, we'd see that Salah is a daily workshop of manners. It teaches us to respect time by praying on time. It teaches us patience by waiting quietly for the iqamah. It teaches us humility by placing our forehead on the ground.
At school, we've seen how this changes students. The ones who take prayer seriously often carry themselves differently outside of prayer. They show respect in the hallways, in the classroom, even in how they speak. Why? Because the discipline of prayer leaks into every other part of life.
We want to challenge you. At the next Jummah prayer, don't just listen to the khutbah. Look around the masjid. Notice the small things. Backs leaning against the wall, legs stretched with feet pointing towards the Qibla. Voices whispering when Allah's words are being recited. These are not small gestures. These are signs of our adab. They reflect how we see the house of Allah. If our children see us careless in the masjid, what lesson are we really teaching?
The Prophet taught by example. When he prayed with stillness. When he stood with awe. He corrected the companions gently, teaching them to straighten the rows, to avoid rushing, to find tranquility in their prayer. At the end of his life, when his strength was fading and his words were few, what was his concern? As-salah, as-salah. Prayer. That was his final reminder. To hold on to the adab in front of Allah.
So what does this mean for us as parents and teachers? It means our children don't just need lessons in how to pray. They need to see us live prayer. They need to watch us protect its time, honor its space, and approach it with dignity. At home, ask yourself, what atmosphere do we create around Salah? Is it rushed, distracted, treated like a chore? Or is it set with the same care and attention we give to preparing a guest room for someone important? Because the most important guest we are preparing for in Salah is standing before Allah.
And the truth is, if a child learns adab in prayer, to respect time, space, people, and above all, to respect Allah, that same adab will follow them everywhere, into their classroom, friendships, career, and family life.
When we stood in Istanbul, seeing the history of our ummah, the mosques, libraries, and hospitals, we realized none of it began with knowledge alone. It began with adab. That was the X factor that carried Muslims to the heights of learning.
The same was true with the Prophet. For 40 years before revelation, Allah prepared him through adab, through patience, honesty, service, humility. Only then was he entrusted with knowledge.
So the roadmap is clear. If we want our children to rise again, if we want our schools and our homes to flourish, we have to return to the same foundation. Adab before ilm. Prayer as a training ground, character as the curriculum.
Because knowledge without adab may impress the world, but knowledge with adab changes it.